Ready whenever.
I'm good.
I'm good.
Okay, so it's going to be 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, good day, free enterprise fans around the world. This is the Tournament Preparation League. We are in flag set number 6. This is basically going to be a mystery seed, and we are joined by two wonderful runners, Pyre and Saradin. But before we get started on anything related to free enterprise, we do have some sombering news to bring everybody. One of the most well-known commentators in our community unfortunately has passed away. The Blue Wizard, whom so many of us knew and loved, very heavy heart, sad heart, that no longer with us. He spent a long time fighting his own demons to bring us joy. Never really finding it himself. We make this announcement, but as someone who had the privilege of meeting Blue within the past year, I just wanted to say thank you for all the fun memories, my friend. And I truly hope you are in a better place now. And just going to take a brief moment of silence for Blue. Rest in peace, big guy. Rest in peace, big guy. All right, apologies, folks. Just needed to compose myself there and honor, one of our lost brethren and community members. But basically, we're just going to get started and jump right into this. So, Pyre, Saradin, if y'all want to introduce yourselves, once you're done with your introductions, we'll go ahead and get this party started.
I can go first. I'm Pyre. Thanks for having me.
Hi, I'm Saradin. Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, with that, let's get the race underway. This is again more of an exhibition, as is true to the Free Enterprise Tournament Preparation League spirit. So this is going to be more about what our runners are doing and why, as opposed to who actually wins. So we have a lot of different objectives, 7 of them. On this particular mystery flag set, you can complete anywhere from 5 to 7. The objectives, there's some characters, some bosses, some quests, and there's a whole lot that our runners are going to have going through their minds as they get started. We see a hook, a Mysidia kit, and I want to say that might have been a Not Demi kit. But for Pyre, we'll start with you. What are you looking for on this flag set? And where do you expect to be going in the early game?
Well, since this is a mystery and we don't particularly know every single flag, so what I'm going to be doing first is going and checking Woodward, and then that will remind me to press B just to make sure that we can jump. It'll give me a few chests to look at to see if I can tell what treasury setting it's on. After that, I'll probably check the Duke glitch and then go check shops and see what's in, since this has the most shops. Just so I can get a good idea of what's going on, then I'll change it from there.
Definitely. Kind of the same question for you, Saradin. I see immediately on your side, you're checking for the Duke glitch, taking no time at all. But what other types of things are you looking for early on here?
So usually I want to check for things that are significantly going to change how I play the seed. So like Duke glitch is one of them. Shop information. So like, do we have free shops? Is it cabins? We're kind of looking for things like that. Do we have permajoin, which we would find out immediately?
Yeah, definitely makes sense. I know that some of the early things that I look for, while the seed is even in the pre-roll stage, if you will, when you're just kind of sitting on the main screen, you can actually check and see, does it say win game or win crystal? And then you can also see in the encounter menu, if you go to see, can you toggle encounters? So a lot of different things you can glean information from, even before the seed starts. In addition to the fact that, we saw 7 objectives. You're never going to have a seed on this particular YAML that completes less than 5 for your air quote go mode or wind, and it can be upwards of 7. So in this might be quite a few objectives at hand, as they all are even weighted. But we see both runners now have checked for the Duke glitch, and on Pyre's side, he's just learning about it now, and we get some fantastic rewards from Bedward as well. What's y'all's thoughts, kind of, as you're exploring this early game? We'll go Saturn first this time. Think you've learned, or think you're still curious about?
Kind of trying to gauge loot quality, checking to see what the if we have sparse on doesn't look like it from public treasury. So just trying to get a sense how much looting I'm likely to be doing in the seed. I want to check for free characters. Probably do that next.
Definitely, and I know that both of y'all have taken a fairly similar route so far. Not gonna, be a huge spoiler. It's pretty common to route in Bedward very early, and thusly the treasury in Troya. So I'm expecting that neither one of you are exactly shocked by that news. Pyre, you have an Ograx for Kane. You both have an Ograx for Kane. Are y'all still looking for more power? Are you content with that Ograx? Where's your head at with your current weaponry and loadout, Pyre in particular?
I think I got enough to get going. I just wanted to take the first couple of chests in the watery pass to check for free characters, and since I can tell free characters are on, next step I'm gonna go is to find my team.
Yeah, definitely makes a lot of sense to get the ball rolling on the team. With the free characters, it's also going to help our runners discern whether it's max party 5, max party 4. The YAML will not allow you to go below 4 as the maximum, but our runners will find that out real soon, what the maximum is, as, going to Messia will put them at 4 or 5. Also going to be able to see potentially if something like no dupes is on, if a duplicate character shows up. But in this particular case, I know one of those characters, Saradin, that you just picked up and Pyre you're about to pick up, one of those excites me more than the other, and it happens to be our objective. Thoughts on having a white mage that isn't Tella?
Porn's really good, especially in the early because she gets berserk really, really quickly. And she's not so terrible. She's a pain in the later, depending on how much XP, just to get her to Cure 4 and some HP. But other than that, I'm excited to see her.
Yeah, always nice to have that solid white mage in the party.
And so we have our runners both kind of doing some pretty formation, some equipping, some checking of, additional overworld spots for information. This is going to be a very common trend with mystery seeds. It's very important to gather information as you go. You want to try to route it all in as efficiently as possible. However, it is interesting sometimes if you get sidetracked, or what you find out in a seed, who you find in a seed, what bosses are where. A lot to take in the early moments of the seed. The first 5 to 10 minutes, you are just on information overload in mystery seeds. Thankfully, Pyre and Sarah are both very well versed in the mystery scene, so both of them will be easily able to handle that amount of information. But it is one of those things where it can get a bit overdone if you find out too much too fast. Pyre, we see that you have picked up a particular character that Saradin is about to find. Were you excited to find your Cecil? Yes or no? And if not, why?
I think so. I found, we probably both found a lightsaber inside of the public treasury. So I've got a good weapon for him. Vanilla agility can't be on. So he's a pretty good character. He'll be quick in case Palom is the hero. So basically find a holy sword for Cecil and start going.
Mhm. And Saturday, kind of same question to you, like, as far as these, characters are concerned, finding the Cecil. Do you have any inclinations on the likelihood of finding a holy sword at this point? Do you think, treasure-wise, that it's going to happen or not happen? Any information that you've kind of gleaned from that so far?
I mean, we've already got the light sword so far, which is like perfectly serviceable. Certainly not the top tier stuff, but it's good enough to take him at this point. So definitely not unhappy to have him this early.
Yeah, makes sense. Worst case scenario our runners are facing right now, Lightsaber Cecil, Ogre Rex Kane, and the twins. Those four party members can really make a scene happen. So there's a big discrepancy in this party versus some other parties that you can end up with. Let's say you ended up with like Rydia, Young, Tella, Dark Knight, Cecil. Like, how do you get through your overworld? But with these parties, thankfully, we're not at any lacking for power now or later. But as far as our routing is concerned here, Saturday, you've discovered something interesting on your side. Is that going to kind of pave the way for you a little bit more, in the way of finding out information or finding other, other treasure checks? Or are you going to kind of keep things more just in line with normal overworld routing?
I mean, it's good information to have, especially if it turns out that K-Trap is on. But yeah, it's probably not going to affect my looting too much. It certainly did make Eblin nicer to go through.
Yeah, definitely makes sense, and we see a nice pickup. Wow, two of them for you, Pyre. But that's always fun when you end up, finding those early on for your Cecil. Makes him actually do some damage.
Yeah, that'll help get through ordeals to get him to his lightsaber for sure. So plenty of power we have here.
Definitely a nice seed as far as power levels are concerned. Interesting that both of y'all, and I love this play on the efficiency side, decided to just use a Zeus Rage on the kind of knots. So just poof, one or two hits and a Zeus Rage, and kind of are done. And that's that. So y'all being very efficient on these, and that's some interesting information as well on your side, Pyre. That can never have enough, apparently.
Nope, there's not going to be any lack of power on this seed, that's for sure.
Yeah, long-term prospects are looking very, very good for this team. Short-term is okay, but this has the potential to be a zoomer, based on the loot quality and the character quality that we've seen so far. So it's a real good demonstration, not necessarily on figuring out puzzles like some of the other weeks of the TPL, or like the async this week. Sorry, not sorry, y'all, who were involved in that. But this is going to be more a demonstration of how to leverage power and go fast. And this is actually really interesting. Pyre, on your side, one of the very few bosses that is actually weak to the dark sword, the black sword. Quite interesting that you're able to make some hay with these Dark Knight Cecils where you wouldn't normally be able to. And Saradin, I did want to ask you, on your side, you've opted to go with only one Cecil. Can you take us kind of through your mindset on that? Are you long-term looking to take both? Or is this just a play to...
Yeah, this is just a short-term decision. Like, I'm not powered up yet, but once I get through ordeals, I'm likely to go back and check on the other one, assuming it's not C-Buy.
Yeah, it definitely makes a lot of sense. Have the power for now while you're getting your Cecils online, and then have the power for later once they are online. Whereas on Pyre's side, he found not one but 2 black swords, which allowed him to do just as much damage as other characters with those Dark Knight Cecils. So kind of a bit of fortune there on looting to get those black swords. So kind of what are y'all's thoughts right now? Pyre, I'll ask you in particular right now, whilst you're sitting through this back attack, what are your thoughts on post-ordeals? Is it a direct dive to Eblin? Are you looking to do something else? Kind of what's your thought process at the moment?
With the characters I have now, I probably will straight to Eblin, find some holy swords, and just roll the register to seed, assuming they are in there.
And based on the looting so far, do you feel like they will be there? Do you have a good read on it? Like, how are we feeling? Do we think it's like T standard, T pro, T wildish?
Definitely T wildish at least. Just because of the loot I found.
Yeah, definitely makes sense. If T wildish is on and you have a Cecil, one of the destination points, and it will remain this way until adjustments are made to the randomizer. One of the destination points is Eblin Castle. There ain't no shtick in Free Enterprise like Cecil and a big stick. He hits really, really hard, and there's just no replacement for it. Nuke is amazing, but an Exile or Crystal Sword Cecil is even more amazing. And Saradin, on your side, kind of what are your thoughts as well? Is it the same as Pyre, the same as the conventional wisdom, where you're just going to go right to Eblin, or are you thinking something different, perhaps?
Well, so I've already been there, but yeah, I did want to check that early to see what the loot quality was like, and check for some additional information. I also got a little bit of a preview here. I don't know if people caught it from the previous fights, but Paladin got XP and spell while being dead, so definitely have Sea Hero on.
Yeah, it's one of those tells that you can figure out ahead of time if there is XP gained from your starting character, that being your hero, while they are on the ground, then yes, Sea Hero is on. Now, that being said, Sea Hero with the Paladin is not the worst place to be, especially when accompanied by the rather good character selection that we have otherwise, with multiple Cecils, a white mage, Paladin as black mage, Kane as potential Val insurance, Yang as a giant HP sponge, and oh dear.
Light issue.
Yeah, it's one of those things that regardless of how good you are at the game, and regardless of how well geared you think you might be. Sometimes fights can go awry when it is but a single character. I dare say that was a pretty good roll on your Grimoire, though, Pyre.
Yeah, much better than the first time.
So now you both know that that there is a magma key on Ordeals. Does that change routing at all? We'll kind of open this one up to either one of y'all. Is there anything in the way of the route that changes at this point, or do you want to go underground and go shopping down there, or are we still just more looking at finding loot and good stuff for Cecil?
For me, it's just finding stuff for Cecil to get going. Since we got an easy way underground, just gotta get him up and running, then mostly roll over the seed. I am a little worried about getting Palom to warp before going into Dwarf, because I don't want to miss out on that and have to actually run down into Luca.
Mm-hmm.
And worth noting, Antlion 2 runners 0. So this is one of the cool parts about doing this like exhibition style is, while yes, y'all are racing, it is interesting to see that, this boss, even with some semblance of gear that y'all have, while not great gear, giving y'all both the business right now. Antlion, while an absolute menace on the moon, proving to be a menace in the changing room as well on Ordeals. And hopefully y'all are luckier this time around getting through.
Yeah, this time I'll actually stop and heal instead of just assuming Palom will actually hit over 500 with his spells.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm running into similar issues.
Plus I lowered the battle speed just to make sure.
Yeah, a bad idea.
Yeah, definitely proving to be a rougher boss than anticipated here in the changing room. So
Yeah, I thought it was going to be super easy, but I guess not.
Oof.
Good news about Palom Hero, though, is I don't have to worry about an anchor.
Mhm.
That was a rather hellacious hit there, Saradin.
Yeah,
My
that was a rough
goodness.
one. Should have back.
But as far as the seed so far, so information that we have gleaned, free characters are on. Probably T Wildish is on. We know that C Hero is on. And we know that dupes are on. So there's a lot that we do know at the moment that can really dictate how a seed goes. We know shops are not free. We know there's no dupe glitch. So there's not going to be any way to generate, infinite money, if you will, and just be able to buy out the whole thing. And both of y'all now know also that as far as the treasure is concerned, that it at least appears that it's going to be vanilla traps as well. So that can also dictate a lot of where the loot routing goes, what trap chests are taken, and it's one of the nicer settings where if you're going to have the potential, albeit super low potential, for K-trap, that vanilla traps can be on, which just makes that a lot more pleasant an experience, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, it'll be a lot easier running around and looting stuff on the way, so I don't have to worry about traps. Assuming that that one trap wasn't just there by happenstance.
I mean, that is the conventional play, though, is everybody checks left tower, first chest, Staleman Skull, and if it happens to be vanilla and then not be vanilla traps, everyone just gets trolled. I will say one of the nice things that came out of this seed, at least with the starting kits, was that Mysidia kit. Definitely making life a lot easier for y'all, not having to shop as much, being able to just cure in life and kind of power through things. And yay, Saradin!
Finally.
And yeah, to point out something from chat, no vanilla agility on this. Basically, the way that this particular flag set was set up, this would be, for those familiar with the ZZ5 Red Moon and Blue Moon, this would be more of a Blue Moon style of flag set. And what I mean by that is it's catering generally towards runners who are not at the very, very top of the game, so that folks can have a more enjoyable experience, have a little more power than normal, a little bit less annoyance in the way of, difficult flags, things like vanilla agility, things like C maybe, S cabins, T money, all of those awful flags that are like, just making it really hard to progress through a seed. So this is, I don't want to call it baby's first mystery flag set, but this would be something that you might see at an entry level to a tournament, or, maybe even something for, like our wonderful Puffs could learn from this type of mystery, or their own mystery YAML. So it's one of those where this is set up so you're going to succeed. It's just a matter of what pace you're going to succeed at. It's set up to be very friendly in that regards. And since life glitch is always on, we do see Pyre taking advantage of that life glitch. Going to be getting a nice bit of XP for Porum especially here, but also the fresh Cecils, who are interestingly enough going to get slingshots here, which is going to get them both quite a bit in the way of early levels, both jumping out to level 20 right away. So a huge kickstart there for Pyre's Cecils. And so we see both runners now with double Cecil in their party. Not really any surprise. We kind of talked about this and alluded to it earlier. But as far as that is concerned, anything in particular y'all are looking for in the way that are key items, party members, early XP spots, anything really on the radar for y'all once you're done with your current checks? Saradin first.
I'm actually pretty content with this party. I don't think I'm really looking heavily for... Ooh, that's interesting. For specific characters, like I would take a Fu if he came along, or an Edge at this point, but other than that, like I'm pretty happy with what I've got.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Empire, once you are done, dabbling in Holy Sword Central, whether there is one or isn't one, we won't point that out quite yet. Where do you intend to go? Are you going to finish up Overworld? Do you like to route Underground at this point? Kind of what is your general thought process?
Well, I will probably go underground, check Feymarch, see what's there, see if free bosses are there, or I can't remember if in this specific flag set they have a chance to be off, but go down there, see if I can spike a pan, then run and check Sheila 1, and then go into Fabula for at least, at worst, double a Fabula dive.
Definitely makes sense. Try to route in Fabul as few times as possible. Nobody likes a triple dip Fabul as much as we've all done it before. And Saradin, how are you enjoying your stay at the Baron Inn?
It's an extended stay. Shouldn't be any problem overall.
I got a pretty good read on Treasury now. I think. I mean, treasure setting.
Yeah, I was wondering that myself from afar. And that kind of confirmed it for me as well. But yeah, as far as the party is concerned, I think y'all are still both in a very good place. Having access to the best Berserker in the game, doubled, and then the best Black Mage in the game, and I'll say it, the second best White Mage in the game. There you go, Porum lovers. I said it. And then basically whoever your fifth character is kind of user's choice. I imagine is how this would break down for most runners, where you're just looking at probably a Palom, Porum, Cecil, X, where X is just whoever you want to throw in the fifth slot. Maybe Porum gets replaced by a Rosa later or a Fusoya, something like that, if they exist. But I do think that this one kind of plays itself party-wise. Do y'all kind of feel the same way on that?
Oh yeah, there's no doubt.
All right, and so Pyre, you have said that you're going to be going underground. Saradin, do you still plan on... Well, let me ask this. With the key items that you currently have, are you thinking about at any point heading down the hook route, either for shopping, for looting, for the character, or is that kind of just scorched earth for you at this time?
I would consider peeking the character, and we have 4 boss hunts, so getting a look at who is actually there is valuable information. I'm probably not going to go all the way down it, but I might at least go see who the character is, the boss.
Definitely makes a lot of sense. Certainly finding out the boss information is a big deal because, as you alluded to, there are 4 boss hunts, and it's going to be impossible to complete this seed without at least fighting 2 of them. We could do the objectives of Get Porum, which is already done, complete Cave Magnus, and trade away the Pinktail. However, minimum 5 objectives, maximum 7, means that 2 minimum of those bosses are going to have to be fought, potentially upwards of all 4. So we shall see what we find and where we find it. Empire, I know that that's got to be an item that makes you happy to see, not for now, but for later.
Yeah, after another race, I'm always happy to have boss checks when it's heavy boss checks area. Let's see. Also, I have a slight change of plans because Sirens were in the shop. So I can definitely go through Dwarf Castle now with no risk of Palom missing Warp. Because I think, depending on what boss is there, there is a slight chance that he wouldn't get Warp, even with doing the Ebling chests.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense routing things in a manner so that you can try to avoid any double dipping. Try to one-shot Dwarf, trying to one-shot Fabul, etc. So it definitely makes a lot of sense on the routing so far, what you're going for. And are there any particular items that you're looking for? Obviously you said you found Sirens already, so that's not going to be a mystery. Are there any particular items, either weapon, armor, other J items that you might be looking for?
Lots of Bacchus.
Never enough Bacchus wine seems to be a trend within this community. But that is because Zerk is so powerful in this game, and there's not many ways to apply it to your characters. You can cast a Zerk spell, you can use Bacchus wine, you can avenge your characters, you can power bonk them with a power staff, but that's about it. There's not many ways. Maybe you could get some sort of shenanigans like reflected Berserk from the Magus Sisters, but that's almost never happening. So, Saradin, you have some new information. What do you plan to do with it, if anything, at this time?
Nothing major at this time. I think at this point it's time to go underground, use that magma key that we found.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. Found out quite a bit of information, and time to put it to use. While Pyre is putting to use yellow dragons.
Just one, just to make sure.
Yeah, yellow dragons give 34,000 XP. Really gets the ball rolling on your experience gains for your characters. As Pyre has alluded to, big reason for doing this is getting to warp. The warp glitch is generally going to be on in this flag. So I can't remember if I said it 70% or 50%, but either way, it's at worst a 50-50 proposition. So you're almost always wanting to have a warp caster for Dwarf Castle. So with Palom currently at level 27, he only has to survive one of these fights to get to level 29. Well, actually, he doesn't even have to survive. He's the hero. Just kidding. Even better. Are there any bosses you don't want to see a dwarf here, Pyre?
This one, at this exact spot.
That's very fair. This boss at this spot, not fun. But so many bosses at Dwarf 1 can be not fun. So not really much of a spoiler for Saradin, because both the magic and the physical are quite high at the Dwarf 1 spot. So there's a lot of mean and nasty things that can be down here.
Up too soon. Useful. That was good luck for me.
Yeah, fortune favors the bold and the prepared.
Nice, Cecil.
Fortune does not, unfortunately, favor Cecil in this particular moment.
Let's hope something is better in the second spot, or at least something that won't instantly kill Kane.
That list is pretty few and far between. However, I can certainly think of a few things. That is not one of them.
Mm-mm. But just to make sure, I'll play it a little safe.
Oh boy. And yeah, this is nice and heads up from Pyre here, changing Rose to make sure that his sole survivor is able to, well, stay standing, because the alternative is not good.
That's right. Got one backup just in case. This is my glass hat Cecil, so he can definitely survive.
Yeah, that's 30 physical defense. He's not going anywhere. Certainly not in the back row double to 60. It's going to be ones or misses, and that's kind of that.
Mm-hmm. Now I just have to remember to warp glitch instead of exiting, which I've done a few times. Or see if the warp glitch is on anyway.
Yeah, we have all exited before warped. And it feels bad. Generally, you learn, but not always. Poor Saradin getting the business here.
This is very rude, dragon.
And to answer a question from chat, it is somewhere between 5 and 7 objectives that are required. We don't know. It could be 5, it could be 6, it could be 7. Yeah, that's where we stand.
That's
Look at it this way: you went on an adventure, Saradin, and adventures are fun.
for every season.
But this does also highlight something that a lot of folks don't think about when dealing with eggs, and in this case we'll call them combat eggs. While Saradin is parrying around so he can quake, if you have access to the stop spell, one of my favorite things is when I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to kill this thing, just cast stop on it and then let everybody beat the crap out of the egg, because the alternative is it beats the crap out of you. Eggs are real punchy, and their thunder counter is like 20% of your life across the board on all characters. So it's really quite a rough thing if you let them get set up. The eggs are deadly once they hatch.
could have grabbed those coffins I saw earlier to give me a head start there.
I will say I want to just shout out both of y'all. Appreciate the fact that we're getting our first Fabul defense check at the 42-minute mark. Love the commitment from both of you to the bit.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite things to do, just because it's a lot of time running in and out. If I don't need to do it, I can wait.
I find that Fabul defense to be quite amusing.
Yeah, me too. I wanted to make sure that it went off just to see what it was.
And so, with y'all both going through and kind of doing your different checks, Pyre, you've just come back up from underground. You've gotten, a couple of key items and other potential progression checks out of, your trip underground. Saradin likewise, getting some potential progression out of what you're routing in. Once y'all are done with kind of this conventional, Sheila 1 and Fabul Defense and Dwarf Castle, where do y'all plan on going, after this?
Well, first things first, I will be searching for this. And then after that, I still have Mist Cave to check, and Dwarf Inn, or Barrett Inn. Just because we still have 2 bosses left.
Makes a lot of sense. And Saradin, you're about to experience the comedy show firsthand.
Indeed.
This is one of those bosses that we were kind of talking about. Not very fun here. Thoughts on this particular fight, since the cat's out of the bag that it's Golbez at Dwarf 1?
Not too worried about it, I think. I did also do the siren grinding, and I found Star Veils. So shouldn't be a problem. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, the one saving grace about this spot, although with a Palom, that saving grace is removed a little bit because he's so darn slow. He is the Cid of mages. Is that this spot is very slow. Dwarf 1, very slow. Dwarf 2, quite fast. French Vanilla Golbez, quite scary as a result. Very high magic power because the dolls, when they form into Big Doll, have a lot of magic power. They need to be able to land, the magic counters. They need to be able to land a glance spell and other things like that. So as a result, any magic boss you find at Dwarf 1 is, well, quite magical. And not in a good way for you generally. So we'll see if Saradin able to get through this. Will both runners have 1 character standing after this? Or will Saradin get through with 2? Let us find out. Looks like it's going to be 1. And Pyre, you are now seeing the gauntlet, which Saradin has already seen. How are you feeling about finding this here? And do you find Senator Crocodile and his filibuster, or their filibuster, on your progression to be fun, obnoxious? What's your general thought on Senator Crocodile?
At the moment, a little obnoxious, just because my party order is in the worst possible way.
You mean you don't like the slot 5 Palom when you need AoE for the gauntlet?
Yep.
So one of my favorite things, and generally it is Scythe Marshall, being in the booth for these, and I appreciate Scythe letting me hop in for one of these, fantastic TPL exhibitions. But I love just listening to hear the runners' thoughts as they're going through things, even if it's kind of just like slight needling or asking kind of funny haha questions. It's, to me, always fun. It makes it more of like a familial type atmosphere and less pressure of a traditional race and more just kind of figuring things out and trying not to spoil everything. But find it very enjoyable, being able to say things like, hey, y'all both got through the dwarf castle that was double required. So yeehaw to that.
The warp glitch is nice, but now I have a worry that there's going to be a boss needed at Luca Cave.
That has never burned anyone.
Of course.
And Vanilla Darkness Crystal, everybody's favorite. So, even if you had missed out on the warp glitch, Luca would have been in play. Pyre getting the bad news that the pan is at Baron Inn, where Saradin had already picked that up. So Saradin going to get to do the single dip Fabul that Pyre is going to have to double dip. So one of those things where slight routing differences do make up and kind of break down a little bit of time here and there. So it's very interesting to see both of y'all taking divergent paths, but being very efficient in your checks. No one really stumbling on anything, with the exception of that antlion, which just decided to body y'all for no reason other than its and yours existence.
Yeah, with the power we've got with the characters we've got, there's not too terribly much that can stumble us, I think, especially on the blue planet.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, kind of the bosses that y'all have seen at this point, Golbez off the table, Saradin, Wyvern now off the table as well. Those are two of kind of the scarier bosses. The Witchburn, by the way, was Slap, and Slap is quite the funny Witchburn from an armless Wyvern, but I guess it can slap the heck out of you with wings if it really wants to put up a fight. But for both of y'all, kind of what's the direction y'all are looking to go now? You both have Darkness Crystal. You've both cleared quite a bit of the overworld and the underground. Is anybody feeling froggy, like the moon is the play, or are we looking to stay more blue planet for now? Saradin, what's kind of your thoughts on that?
So given what I just picked up out of Sheila, I've got a couple of more items that I can do down here, or I consider going to the moon, especially given that I have access to all of Tower. I'm gonna probably do that before thinking about going to the moon.
Definitely makes a lot of sense. And Pyre, with you already being in Tower, what's kind of your thoughts in addition to kind of what Saradin said there? Are you looking at Tower and some other things, or is it pretty much Tower and then Moon? Like, what's kind of your thought process?
Well, before the pan, I was planning on just running to the moon, but since I have to come down here anyway, and that's like flying right by it, might as well figure out or run up here real quick. And now is a good chance to see if free bosses are on. Or wait, I should look at the ammo and see if that's even.
Yeah, free bosses are always off.
Yep. Oh, so yeah.
Or always on. However that works, whichever one's the easier one, that's the one that's on. Always on this. So there's never going to be the no free boss flag, I guess is the way to word that.
Actually, I'll take this time to do inventory management.
And I noticed that neither of y'all have really done much in the way of trapped chests. Is the reason for that either the treasure settings or the thought that K-Trap is probably not on with the key items you found? Kind of just take us through that general mindset of really not doing many traps for either of y'all. Pyro, I'll let you go first on this one.
Well, my thought process, just by seeing what was in the trap chest of Eblin, T Wild is on, so the chance of actually spiking a good sword for Cecil has gone down significantly, so it's not really worth the effort at this point.
And Saradin, you've checked even fewer trap chests than Pyre has. Is that, again, the read on the loot, or just the fact that K-Trap is seemingly off? I think we all, at least at this point, think it's probably off. Kind of what's your mindset on that right now regarding trap chests?
Yeah, it's more the fact that K-Trap is probably off given the item density we've seen so far. That and the fact that I don't really have much of anything that can spike out of a trap chest at this point. Turning in that pan gave that Excalibur, so I'm sitting on Defense Sword Excalibur Cecil's at this point, and that's perfect fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Defense Sword Excalibur seems to be pretty decent. The Excalibur part more so, but both are very good. Defense Sword you can still absolutely win the game with. And we see two diverging strategies here for the King Queen Eblin fight. Pyre just sat there and basically played with his inventory, and Saradin opting to go for the kill. I'd love to see a timing on this. Either from someone beforehand. I should have thought about it, but I'm always curious to see which ends up being faster, going for the kill or just letting them script out.
If you berserked everybody, especially if he's already got an Excal Cecil and a lightsaber or Defense Sword Cecil, it's probably faster to go for the kill. But I wanted to see what was in my inventory and get into places where I knew it was, so I wouldn't be fumbling around in there, which could probably lose me the amount of time that I saved anyway.
Yeah, if nothing else, you get to take stock of your inventory, and you can see like, oh, okay, I have 70 Ether 1s, and I have 22 Bacchus wines, and I have, whatever it is that you've accumulated in your travels. Be able to say, see, oh, I have this, this, and this. I either need to shop, I don't need to shop. In case a fight comes up where I need to use a consumable J item, with my slot 1 character, whoever's acting fast, since Palom is never going to go first, barring an adamant armor. And even then it's questionable with Kane. So it's one of those where it's good to take stock of what you have, and kind of set up your inventory in a way that's good for you to remember. It can also help with the selling of goods. So, a lot of reason to manipulate the inventory there. And Pyre, on your side, I did want to ask, because Chad had pointed it out, did you realize you had forgotten to turn in Sheila 1 earlier?
No, I don't think so, because I went straight to the pan, unless I just forgot to turn in the pan. I did. So that was a big mistake, which I will have to go rectify. But I would have noticed it fairly quickly because the pan was still in my inventory.
Yeah, chat got both of us on that, and then I screwed that up as well by spoiling that you still had a pan in your inventory. So
Yep.
apologies on that. But yeah, that's one of those things where they had pointed it out, and I didn't want to say it at the time, just because it was like, this could really, kind of determine it if like the pan, if you didn't get the pan, or if the pan didn't show up for you, or something like that. Could have made quite a big deal. In this particular instance, it's really not going to change a ton. Uh,
Yeah. Not much can really come out of that except for Tupalum, which I really don't need. Oop. Really don't need.
yeah, and Saradin, you're already done with the forge. Were you more excited to see the forge items, or excuse me, the forge item or the shop items? I know for me, I'm generally more excited to see shop items.
Yeah, probably the shop items in this case. Although the one of them kind of ended up being obsoleted by the forge, but
Yeah.
that's all right.
And so, despite having various different paths through the seed, you're both very close to each other as far as progression and what checks you're doing. To the point where we're going to be having dueling music, which is phenomenal. Uh, really appreciate the show that y'all have put on so far. And before we get that music, I do want to thank everyone behind the scenes. Joker Mage, of course, doing the restream. Dave stepping in last second to take care of tracking. Thank you, both of y'all. And then, of course, Pyre and Saradin, thank you again so much for volunteering your wonderful mystery services whilst we get to watch y'all do this seed, which is cooperating quite a bit better than the async, fully. But without too much ado, I think it is time for y'all to enjoy most likely not one, but two renditions of DJ Spoony B. This is where we can keep talking, right? No one's ever going to mute me, right? Right? Okay, I'll stop. Enjoy the tune, y'all. Alrighty, so now that the Dark Elf has so rudely cut off DJ Spoonie B and the Rockin' Tunes, I did want to shout out something real cool that Pyre did there. If you can't remember who your starting boss is, just go ahead and, save and start a new game. And then you can see who the boss is again when they come walking out. Very heads up to do that if you don't remember. And the reason Pyre is doing this is because he's deciding how much of a boss hunt he is on and whether he's going to Baron or whether he's going to the moon. It's a very telegraphed play, but it makes a lot of sense. With the YAML being either 5, 6, or 7 objectives with an equal distribution, the moon just has more potential objectives than a non-required boss in the Baigen spot. So, love the play from Pyre there. I think it's real heads up to do that to determine where he's going. Anything you'd like to add to that, Pyre? Sorry to kind of steal the thunder there. I'm assuming that was your thought process, but anything to add to it?
You are correct. That was my thought process, and that thought process also brought up that I forgot to look at who was hooked to when I was on top of tower. So I'm just going to pretend it's not required.
And then Saradin, we have you going through and doing the Baron check. Is this because there's 2 additional bosses behind those dolls as well as a potential Pinktail?
Yeah, that's kind of my thought process.
Makes a lot of sense. And I'll ask the $1 million question here. If you were to get the Earth Crystal from this, would you be happy or sad?
That's a great question. Reasonable chance that it's here, given the number of key items that we've seen. There has to be something else on, but probably on the that's reasonable side.
Yeah, it is interesting because of the number of Zonks we got overall. It's definitely heavy K main and then probably something else, but I don't think either of y'all have figured out what that something else is yet.
Going back and poking Feymarch is also theoretically on the table. I'm more likely to do the moon first, but Feymarch could end up being a thing.
Definitely makes a lot of sense. Pyre, on your side, we see you have opted for some gold dragons as opposed to other potential grinds, either eggs or warlocks or other things. Any particular reason you're going for the gold dragons here?
Well, I have a couple of hourglasses, only a few sirens. I don't want to go all the way back down into March to buy more. So I'll use the few I have to get as much as I have.
Definitely makes sense. Gold dragons with a life glitch get you 180,000 XP. A couple of those packs of gold dragons plus like 1 moon fight, and your Cecils are ready and raring to go for a Z fight. So makes a lot of sense. It will be interesting if all those free bosses happen to be up on the moon, and then you get kind of sad that you didn't grind. I always love that whenever Dark Imps are an objective and I fade the ribbon room, for a while the Dark Imps are always there, and I'd be able to get like 800 billion XP from the ribbon room after doing a grind. So I hope that, well, I don't know. I hope it doesn't happen to you, but at the same time, you probably hope it does because it's an objective, so.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. I'll get Porum some extra HP for Z and the Cecils and Naked Gain to do a bit more damage just to make it safer.
Hey, Kane's helping.
He is doing his best.
All right, and we've just learned a little bit of information from Saradin's side. Does that change at all your routing, or no?
It certainly affects a few things. Like it's going to make things faster from now on.
Sure. Do you feel you are more or less likely to do the Fey March now than the Moon?
Less.
Okay. I figured as much, but had to ask that question.
It's a fair question. Yeah, definitely less.
All right, and with both runners either on or heading to the Moon is, without much surprise, a spot you would find yourself on a quadruple boss hunt seed. It is interesting that Dwarf Castle had 2 of our bosses, given that it only has 2 boss spots. But the Moon, the Darkness Crystal, opens up 8. The 6 from the Moon proper, if you will, including Cave Bahamut, and 2 on the Giant. There's always the chance that someone wants to get frisky with routing and does like the top 2 spots and then goes to the Giant. That was something I actually liked doing in ZZ5. But with both our runners having a pass, that is probably less likely, since there's no worry about, a double LST walk at that point. So we'll see where both runners opt to go once on the Moon. Pyre, that is quite a nice fight for you to find.
Sure is. I will trade those for that any day.
Yeah, I would say that is a fair trade. Not that we were hurting, on our Cecils to begin with, but certainly no worse for wear after that find. That is not the same fight as what's next door.
Nope. I was hoping for the imps, but no joy.
All right, and so we've seen a couple of Canes, a couple of Cecils, a couple of Eddies, no Fusoya. So doesn't look like we're gonna get a Fu, and I don't believe we've seen a Rosa yet either. So Tower of Zot, I think neither of y'all have peeked at the package yet, which makes a lot of sense because it isn't really relevant. Anyone that y'all would put into your party at this point, like if Fu showed up, would you take Fu over Porum specifically?
I don't think so.
It doesn't really matter who it is on mine.
Yeah, I think that makes sense for both. Because there's plenty of Bacchus wines, and as long as Cecils are going Burr, it doesn't really matter who the other characters are.
I see. I need to go back and check something just in case.
An interesting piece of information discovered on Pyre's side.
So I'm going to go and do one spot just to see if I can pull it out, and then I'll go back to boss hunting. Because with what I have, I'm only missing one boss spot.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Kind of ZZ5 mentality of I have access to X minus, or excuse me, I have access to, X minus 1, 2, 3, 4 type bosses. Pyre has access to X minus 1 bosses, meaning he has the ability to see every boss spot in the game except one. So he is likely in go mode. However, stranger things have happened for those who played ZZ5, and for those who have played Mystery. And Pyre, correct me if I'm wrong, I think you were top 4 in ZZ5 Red Moon, right?
I believe, yes, I was.
Yeah, so no, no sense of unfamiliarity with the boss hunt meta, given your history with the boss hunting. So definitely a good good source of information. If y'all ever want to watch some really good boss hunt meta gameplay, all the ZZ5 VODs on the Free Enterprise YouTube are a phenomenal resource for that, to really get into the minds of like why folks are doing what they're doing, kind of on top of what we're talking about today. Saradin, we also see you doing Gold Dragons. Is that in part also due to the not wanting to go back underground, just take the grind while you can get it now?
Yeah, this is a good place for it. I wanted to come up to the moon anyway for progression, so
Definitely makes sense.
it's about as efficient as it gets.
And Pyre showing us the power of Cecil Go Burr, not really doing anything with other people, but going to show us now the power of Cecil Go Burr, as Cecil will continue burring.
Oops. Let's do this.
And so, Saradin, what's kind of your thought process here? Are you in boss check mode? Are you in key item mode? Are you kind of a hybrid of both? And
Good.
I was going to say there's, what we also like to call face and free, like where you do face checks, and you only take the free bosses. Where are you kind of at with everything?
I'm full face check mode at this point. I think there's a boss that I would stop to fight that is not objective currently.
That's fair. Definitely makes sense. knowing that they, what the YAML can roll for require 5, 6, or 7. The game changes quite a bit when you're playing those odds, if you will. So. Going to be some save scumming going on for our runners, as we like to call it. Basically, this is where you leave saves kind of scattered throughout so you can reset to a number of different places. Typically, this is done more on the moon than anywhere else, but you'll also see it done in places like outside Sylph Cave, in front of the lower Tower of Babel, to kind of keep you able to just reset and save, 5 to 10 seconds per location, just hitting that reset button and moving back to a prior save. Also, better to save more often than not saving at all for all but the very, very top tier of runner, who generally will be able to finagle their way out of most fights. For most of us mortals, you want to be saving more often than not. To answer a question from chat about what boss spots remain, I believe our runners both have checked at a minimum face check the moon, at a maximum clearing the moon, and so I think that leaves the giant, the hook, the package, and sealed cave. And then Zot 2, our runners would not have eyes on as well. But the Rex banner would be in play. So still lots of potential from this seed. But this is sometimes what boss hunts turn into, and with mystery seeds in particular, it gets a little awkward because you don't know if you're hunting all or some. And so you'll often see folks take, at this point, really wild paths through the seed. Now on Saradin's side, I'm guessing it's giant time for you, or are you thinking of Earth spots?
I have one spot I wanted to check for before giant.
Ah. And this is an interesting one. Another person who made a deep run in the ZZ5 tournament, this was their favorite check to make. And that was a community member, Dekar Smash, absolutely loved making the check that Saradin is making right now. So for those who did their homework on that tournament or still remember it, almost every single race he loved doing this. To answer a question from chat, no. Well, I don't think the runners are reading the chat. They're certainly not watching the stream. But generally speaking, they can hear what we're saying. They can hear each other. So this is more of an exhibition than a race. But it's all for learning, basically, to kind of be in their heads, get their thoughts on why they're doing what they're doing. And Saradin, I'll just go ahead and ask, what's your reasoning for doing this check? Is it just a personal favorite?
No, I know the cutscene for it is long, but the actual fight itself is pretty fast if it happens to be required.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
Just more of the thinking there.
Yes, to answer question from chat, it is K note free. Both runners got their complimentary Zeus Rage to start the seed, which they both used on Kainatsu in Antlion Cave. So there is no worries of a rogue demist hanging out as well. All right, and looks like Saradin off to the giant, and Pyre has stumbled across an objective boss. So, how are you feeling at this moment, Pyre?
Pretty good. Especially with that random take I took on the moon. Since was taking the free bosses up there. But we'll see what happens. Because there's literally not much left I can do.
Yeah, I was going to say you're pretty limited on the amount of checks you have left. It's got to be under a half dozen at this point.
Yeah.
Or right around.
Pretty much. Really isn't much left for me.
And Saradin, as you're on the giant, are you hoping to find? I mean, you're probably hoping to find bosses up here, but is there anything you really don't want to see at the element spot if it were, let's say, gating the other boss? That's also me kind of wondering what's left.
Yeah, like most of the rudest stuff is gone or has been seen that I can think of.
I guess we haven't seen Oko Pogo, have we? That would have been fun
That's
at
true.
65k with Sea Hero. All right, and Pyre getting to see the dolls for the third time. You'll love to see it in the audience. You hate to see it as a runner.
The second time, though, it was quick.
But again, unfortunately, no way to make Palom go faster than the rest of the party here. And without a good J item, unfortunately, still kind of just have to wait for Palom to slowly do Palom things.
Yeah, I knew they were there, so I probably should have swapped. But what can you do? Oh, you could have just changed him, but too late now.
And so we see Baigen decided to move one spot up in the Baron hierarchy today. Quickly dispatched by both runners.
Nice of Edge to come back road.
It'd be nicer if you found him an hour ago.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, and we just learned something very important, courtesy of Saradin. Boy, howdy. The last TPL we did, Plumeria and I were 4 seconds apart. It is not out of the question that this could be a repeat of that. which is, in fact, a slight spoiler for you, Pyre, from about 3 seconds ago. So chat's going to get their money's worth on this one, as y'all are both going to be very close on this one. So thank you so much for the wonderful show and the expert mysterying, as y'all in fact did different objectives as well, and that's the best part.
I really like when it's not required all, because there's always one extra path that you can go, so if somebody happens to miss something, they also have another way to finish their game without having to run all around.
Unless you faded Dwarf Castle in this seed, in which case, you know,
Whoops.
that's on you. But we got to ask that question, folks. It is that time. We randomize a whole lot of things in this community. We randomize what the characters are going to be able to find to equip. Sometimes we randomize their spells with things like Misspelled and other wackies. We randomize the music from the heart. We oftentimes randomize the questions. We even ask about Zeromus being randomized. But I do believe that we have one major question for this evening, and that is, whose twerker are we going to zerker? Because these Cecils are about to go ham on Big Z. But we do have Saradin, at least on this end, tossing the crystal out just shy of the 130 mark, and Pyre in, I don't want to say lockstep, but probably no different than about 20 seconds apart. But let's see who we get here. That is a new Z sprite for me, and I don't actually know what it's from.
This is definitely from one of the SNES Soulblazer, Actraiser, one of those two, I think.
Good to know.
It has been a while since I've played either of those.
Actraiser final boss. Thank you, Dryas Lizer. Appreciate it. Oh no. Palom took the counter nuke. Whatever will you do, Saradin? Pyre Cecil took an Omega roll on that counter nuke. My heavens.
You'd say he's the one wearing the adamant, too.
That's gotta be dang near a max roll. 2272 with an adamant on? That's outrageous. But we have both runners just Cecil's going Burr here. We definitely have more Burr on Pyre's side than we have on Saradin's side. So I think Pyre's fight might be a little faster, but Saradin was in the fight first, so we'll see it, you know, who's able to come out ahead here. But I don't even know if Pyre's going to be taking any more actions at this point.
Yeah, that Cure 4 was a waste.
Yeah. It's going to be a tight one, but I think you're probably going to get it.
Yeah, Tri-Zerker on both teams, no surprise there. We got a shake on Pyre's side. We got a crumble on Pyre's side. GG to Pyre, very well run. Able to come in a little bit from behind there because of the power of Cecil Go Burr. Quite a lot of Burr. Crystal Sword and Avenger and Excalibur. And there's rocks for Saradin, so not far behind at all. Incredibly close, and just a wonderful exhibition overall. Diverging paths, different things taken, different information gleaned. So really, excuse me, really appreciate both of y'all hopping in for this. Bahamut was at Giant 1. Dark Imps were at Zot 2 to answer where the bosses were for y'all. So, Pyre, go to you first. What were your overall thoughts on the seed? Did it kind of play out how you thought it would? Kind of just take us through, not the Cecil Go Burr parts, but the others.
Well, it gave us, with that free characters, it's pretty easy to get going right out of the gates. And with, I'm assuming, T Wild, we ran across some decent gear right off the bat to help get that going as well. Boss hunts always can be kind of tricky, especially because they could be hiding in the strangest spots. So say if the DMs were behind Package and Bahamut was behind Luca, we'd still be going for quite some time just trying to find them. But it played pretty close to what I expected. We knew something else was on. I'm a Feymarch Fader if I can help it. So if I was going to go anywhere to find something, it would be the moon. And since there was a couple of free bosses on the moon, that gave me the information to know that moon was on. So since I actually had to run back up for that octopus or Mura spots, because I was planning on heading to the giant right after, but then I ran up and checked, and since I was there, I did it real quick. And I gave Earth, so that was 2 spots I didn't know about anyway, plus a key item check. So I decided to run up there and found the DMs, and since I was right there, put me right outside Baron. I ran in there real quick just to see what I could find, because at that point there was 1 key item left and only 1 moon spot left that I did not check. So chances were good it was in there.
Yeah, definitely makes a lot of sense, and appreciate that analysis. And Saradin, to you as well. What were your kind of overarching thoughts on the seed? How did it play out? Was it kind of what you expected, or was it wildly different?
I think this is more in line what I was expecting out of the YAML than what we got in the async.
Yeah, again, sorry.
No, it's fine. It was a fun seed. It was just really, really rude for what the possibilities are. No, I think Antlion was really rude there. Doing Baron before going up to the moon ended up probably saving me a bunch of time because I was able to just face check all of the moon spots. So I just needed the bosses at that point. I wasn't still like, where's the pink tail? So I think that's where I made up a lot of my time. This wasn't quite enough.
Yeah, still was a heck of a performance from both of y'all, though. And one more time, I do want to thank you both, for coming out today and supporting the TPL and participating every week in it. Doing your part so that we can all try to get a little better at this silly little video game that we've all come to love. So again, huge thank yous to both of y'all. Thank you, Dave, again, stepping in last second to do the tracking, and Joker Mage for doing the restream. Before we raid out to a target tonight, do y'all have anything finally you'd like to add for the evening?
For me, it's just one moment. Sorry, go ahead. Saradin.
Oh, anything else that you would like to add for the evening?
No, I think I am good. Just thank you all for organizing the league and so on. It's been a fun time.
Yeah, I was going to thank you, Possum, and Y2 Sky for actually doing it and taking a lot of time to go through everybody's VODs to do a write-up. every 2 weeks, about just to give everybody kind of an idea of what happened throughout the seed and what routes everybody took. It also helps when everybody has to either stream it or tape it to be able to see, so you can go and compare your own run against everybody else's. It helps a lot actually comparing your own run versus somebody else that does the same exact seed, just to see what you can see is good, that you like what they do, what you maybe you don't like what you do, or you don't like what you did, so you can change it up later.
Yeah, definitely. Very well said. We appreciate that everyone plays, and we're more than happy to do that analysis so that we can all, again, collectively get better. So, again, one last thank you to everyone behind the scenes. We're going to go ahead and raid over to Commander Leonhardt, who is doing the Trojan Tango for this week with Infinius. So, if you are planning on running that, I would recommend that you either raid and run, or just go ahead and hop off prior to the raid. But thank you again, everyone, and stay tuned tomorrow. I believe we have the Baron Heroes Journey. And then on Monday, I think it's the community race as well happening, which will be at 8 o'clock Eastern, I do believe. So thank you again one last time, y'all. And rest in peace, Brother Blue. And y'all have a